Hey, what's happening, Cincinnati Soccer Talkers? Episode 63 of Cincinnati Soccer Talk coming at you live here at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com, Facebook Live, and YouTube. We've got a great show in store for you this week. Coming up tonight, we're going to talk about the game against the Bethlehem Steel, round 2 out in Pennsylvania. Wow, what a game there it was on Saturday evening. Lots to discuss in that match, and of course we know FC Cincinnati again back on the road, this time to take on the Richmond Kickers. We want to get your thoughts, FC Cincinnati fans, so make sure you get in touch with us on the King's Hammer hotline at 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. You can also hit us up on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk. This episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk is brought to you by the Cincinnati Dutch Lions. Make sure you check out their website, cdlfc.com, and get your tickets for their home opener on May 21st. Log on to cdlfc.com. And speaking of the Dutch Lions, we've got Sid van Druenen joining us this week. He's the technical director and the head coach of the Cincinnati Dutch Lions. He's going to be joining us around 8:15 to discuss everything going on with the Dutch Lions and their upcoming season opener here on May 21st. Again, glad you're joining us here on Facebook Live, YouTube, and CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. I'm Subs, and I'm glad to be with my tag team partners for the evening. I'll start off first with the one and only Boston Brazil. Boston, what's happening, buddy?
Oh, not much. Excited for this weekend. We got soccer. We got a Kentucky Derby. Rumor has it there's a podcast party going down, so pretty excited about that. And I don't know, just looking forward to life in general. Although I will be excited when we can get back home. We got like 2 more weeks, and then we're back at home. So
yep, it'll be good to have them back a couple more weeks. Good to have you back as well, Boston. Also glad to have back the one and only Brian Weigel. Brian, how are you, buddy?
Good, man, but you're looking a little off tonight, a little red.
There's a recurring theme tonight with my attire, with the lighting, with my drink this evening. I'm drinking a red Gatorade, Bri. What makes you say that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's 4 red things that come to mind or not, but I hope you're doing well over there.
I'm doing well. I'm red with envy. I just wanted to say red. Obviously, I'm clearly talking about the plethora of red cards that's been plaguing this team over the last few weeks, which I'm sure we'll be discussing tonight here on the podcast. And last but not least, the Wolf Man, the one and only Bill Wolf, joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Bill, what's happening, buddy?
Oh, I'm just so happy I'm the only one with a sound effect. So, these guys got to step it up a little bit, I guess, before they get a sound effect. But no, it's going well. Obviously a rough weekend. So I'm trying to keep the faith with the boys. I'm looking forward to the game this Saturday. We're going to turn it around.
I hope you're right, Bill. I do hope you are right. Again, we want to get your thoughts a little bit later on in the program. We'll open up those phone lines, 513-399-KICK. Of course, we'd love to hear your thoughts. We know there are many of you tuning in on Facebook right now with a couple comments regarding some cups. Of course, we want to get your feedback on the red card situation and the match itself against Bethlehem Steel over the weekend. So why don't we start there? We'll talk about the match itself. FC Cincinnati, they lose over the weekend 1-0 in a game which I think we would all agree they pretty much dominated for the most part. Had some chances early on. Kadeem Dakers had really 2 great opportunities in that first half there on the right side. Couldn't convert. Aiden Quinn hit the crossbar on a free kick at one point in this game. It was a game that to be fair, I thought we really deserved to win, and then in the end, I guess that's called soccer. Mitch Hildebrandt, a little indecisive coming off his line. They give up kind of a fluky goal there in the second half, and that's the way it goes out in Bethlehem. 1-0 your final score, they lose. But obviously we know the game was marred with another red card by Andy Craven in the second half. So let's just start with you, Bill. Your thoughts on the match overall and what the heck's going on with this team?
Well, I think you summed it up pretty well. I mean, if you look at a heat map of that game, we obviously spent more time in the attacking, third of the field than they did. I don't think they even got a shot on goal in the first half. It should have easily been 3-1. And, I think that, we had our chances. I mean, you look at Dagers with a couple, chances where he got behind the back line really early on and nothing came of that. Wiedemann with a point blank header that somehow went over the bar. Craven hitting the crossbar. Quinn with a beautiful free kick that hit the corner post. I think even Walker had a nice free kick that was just wide. So the opportunities were there. We should have scored on some of those. That's obviously probably the biggest thing to be worried about. I mean, obviously giving up a goal late is a concern, but if we had taken our chances and done something with them, it would have been a 3-1 game and it wouldn't have mattered. And then of course the red card. So that's really the storyline at this point, I think, for everybody. It's becoming less about score lines and opportunities and more about what's going on with the red cards.
I guess it just goes to show, guys, too, that possession isn't everything and chances isn't everything. If you're not converting those chances, I mean, you're asking to lose games like that.
Guys, I had this whole joke planned about Yosef and his attempts at the pizza lady getting a date and not converting. So I wish I could have thrown that out sooner, but Yosef, love you, buddy. I honestly didn't think we played too terribly. Did we get the ball up both wings perfectly? Not so much. I thought the right was significantly better than the left, even though Jimmy did cut in very well on the left. I just think when you have those opportunities, you have to at least put one in, and when you don't, you're victim to whatever luck. Small mistakes happen, and that's where we died this week, is on that. Of course, you can't help that our personnel change has just shifted dramatically over the past couple weeks, and there hasn't been a rhythm there that might have been present at maybe this point last year. Those first, I want to say 11 games, they had a very similar roster. So just on the field right now, I think there might be some subtle changes that everybody's not completely used to yet.
Something that strikes me, though, I mean, when GB obviously got his suspension for several games, everybody started asking questions about how are we going to score, who's going to score. And, if you look at the lineup that was out there, we took more shots than we've taken in previous games. We had more opportunities than we've taken in previous games. Obviously, we didn't get any in the net, which is the end most important thing. But there are goal scorers on this team. I think they just maybe got used to the fact that, go for the big guy at the top and let him do it. And they need to kind of redirect a little bit.
I blame technology. I think it's 2017. We should be to the point where posts should no longer exist. Nets should just hang by themselves in suspension.
Fake news, alternate reality there, but love it. At the end of the day, are they going to kill themselves that they dropped all 3 points? Yes. Do we need to overreact that they lost all 3 points? I'm not saying we are, because I still felt that we played well enough to earn those 3 points. We just couldn't get it done at the end. There's been a lot of chatter out there on the interwebs and the social media about reacting, firing coach. Would we be better or worse off with Coach Harkes? And I'd love to discuss that with you guys later on. So after our guest, make sure to call in on 513-399-KICK. But I don't know, Bill, do you have any thoughts on the reaction right now?
Premature. There's a lot of changes going on. You lose a target striker. I don't know how to. I mean, you don't want to make excuses forever and ever, but it just feels like right now this club has had some of the most incredible luck. Some of it they've made for themselves, but I mean, the luck has been just crazy bad. And the 4 red cards, they seem to get progressively worse. There's obviously a lot of frustration going on there. I feel like, somewhere along the way, they just need to get something positive turn their way, get a couple good games behind them and tuck this away somewhere and forget about it. And we'll be on smooth sailing from this point forward. I think, we're seeing a lot of potential, and it's just a matter of us getting it to click right now.
Well, one of the things we've done on our website recently, actually we've been doing it for every game this year, is we've been allowing folks to kind of vote on your player ratings. And this is how it all kind of shook out this week. This is a fan voting reaction. Walker was obviously the man of the match. He averaged a 7.4 rating this week. Andrew Weedman, who was playing as a target striker, had a 6.5. Kadeem Dakers actually had a 7.2 rating according to the fans. But a big one there, the lowest rating of the day coming from Mitch Hildebrand with a 5.8. What do you guys make of the fans' player ratings? And was there anything that stood out to you, or maybe you thought differently on some of the other the ratings that you might have given?
Well, the one time that Mitch really got called into action on a really difficult situation, he failed. So that's going to ding you pretty good. Now, let's be frank here. A 6 is an average performance, so just being slightly below average isn't going to kill you. But another person I threw out here that didn't have a significantly high rating was Fordyce. I just think it's kind of going back to the familiarity is not there yet, and I think he can only get better as the year goes on, especially gaining his fitness.
Yeah, I agree. I think his vision is pretty impressive. So somehow we need to work him in and get him into a situation where he is, making opportunities for longer periods of time. It feels to me like every time he goes into the game, for maybe the first 10 minutes, he is making chances happen, making opportunities either on the end of the ball or connecting people to the end of the ball. And I think that's somebody we need. We need that playmaker who sees the opportunities and helps the team get there. But yeah, it seems like he drops off. So I agree. I think fitness is going to be the piece he needs to work on. So
the fans naturally tend to give Mitch the benefit of the doubt. So when he sees when you see a 5.8 there, that tells me that the fans are starting to notice a slight dip in performance. When we're not putting balls in the net, and I know we had chances, but when we're not putting balls in the net, Mitch is going to have to step up and do a job. And at this point, without GB, without our main primary goal scorer, we're looking at we need clean sheets. We really need them right now, especially against some of these weaker teams.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really, they've got the 2 clean sheets on the year, the 2 Widmer's clean sheets. Defensively, I thought, for the most part, they were pretty sound over the weekend. You see some good numbers there from Boehner and Delbridge. Surprised Pollock was that low at 6.2. But when you see Kenny Walker getting the bulk of the higher ratings this weekend, guys, how important has he been early on this season?
Well, I just hope he can, he took a knock this week. I'm hoping that he's going to be able to gain his fitness on this big road match in Richmond. But I think he's pulled the strings. I think Bjorn called in a couple weeks ago singing his praises. And I think, he's one of the few guys that has lived up to his billing, has lived up to what he did last year, and is quietly been, I guess, the unsung hero on the roster.
Yeah, he has definitely been the player this year that's, I think, stepped up since last year. I mean, of all the players out there, we've talked about Bone having a really good game and others, Jimmy McLaughlin having a great game. But it seems like Walker has just really taken his game to the next level this season, and it's consistent. Every game he's out there. The things that maybe we saw last year that concerned us, passing completion and things like that, it all seems like it's improved to me. I don't know what he's done or what he's eating, but we ought to write it down and make sure that we all take that.
I'm also getting more comfortable with Walker taking those free kicks, especially when Quinn's not starting, because Quinn's the go-to guy. But if you put Quinn on the bench, Walker's doing a pretty good job. He almost had one in that last game. Yeah,
Walker's shown he's got the ability to strike from long range. And his free kick, he's getting close. I have a feeling he's going to hit one of those this year. Let's hope he does here for FC Cincinnati. Well, the program is called Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and we want to do our best to cover soccer in the tri-state as a whole, not just FC Cincinnati. So with that said, the Cincinnati Dutch Lions season will be kicking off on May 21st against the West Virginia Chaos. And joining us now on the King's Hammer Hotline is the technical director and the head coach of the Cincinnati Dutch Lions, Sid van Druenen. Sid, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. How are things going?
Going great. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about, obviously, your season's coming up. How are preparations going for the Dutch Lions?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, of course. We started training this Monday. It's great to have the guys in and finally be able to do some some work on the field, and the focus of the club and the ownership group has always been really two things. Win, that's an important thing, and I think we have a good group of guys together. And then the second piece, get involved in the community and give back, and then try to put the name of the Cincinnati Dutch Lions out there. And so those two things have really kept me busy the last couple of months. So man, we're very excited to finally be able to get started.
Well, congratulations on getting the gig. It's your first year as the head coach of the Cincinnati Dutch Lions. How did you make your way to Cincinnati? Talk about your journey to the Tri-State.
Well, originally, of course, it all started, in the Netherlands where I was born, and then when I, at a young age, moved to Portugal, played some football down there, started coaching at a relatively young age, partially due to injury, partially due, finding out that the road to the top is a little harder than a lot of people realize, and yeah, the switch to the United States happened in 2011, an opportunity to coach in the New Jersey area. And then pretty quickly I got in touch with the different Dutch Lions franchises located in Dayton, Ohio. And I spent about 4.5-5 years down there. Youth coach, some USL Pro, head coach, women's team. And at the end of last year, my contract was ending. Then I was ready for something new, and I got in touch with the new Cincinnati Dutch Lions ownership, and things went from there.
So for our listeners out there, they're obviously following FC Cincinnati. They're familiar with the USL. They've heard of the MLS, obviously. A lot of them may not be really familiar with the PDL, which is the league that the Cincinnati Dutch Lions are playing in. So could you maybe give a little background on the PDL? How does it relate to USL, MLS? Why is it significant to the whole structure of soccer in the country?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, MLS is, of course, the highest level. And then there's at this moment, 2 Division II leagues, the USL Pro and NASL. And then the 2 leagues that come after that are the very similar level will be the PDL and the NPSL. Both of them are, amateur. Most of the teams, some teams in the league have a professional status, but most of the teams, us included, are fully amateur. And what that means is, of course, players do not get paid. And really what it is, it's the PDL stands for Premier Development League. And that's really what it is. It's guys that want to make the step to the next level. Some of those guys are still in college, looking to train and to be in a competitive environment. Others are graduated or, international players that are looking to make the step. I consider the PDL being a higher level in general than our direct competitive league, the NPSL, and it's been proven. About 70% of the MLS draftees in the last 4 to 5 years have played in the PDL, and I think those are amazing stats. So it's really a league for people to have an opportunity to watch, potential future FC Cincinnati or future MLS players. And that's also our goal. Next to trying to win games and be competitive, our main goal is to try to help these guys move on and help them achieve the dreams and goals of becoming professional soccer players.
Now, if you followed Cincinnati Dutch Lions FC on Twitter, we've all seen you've listed several of your player announcements. You also had some video and some pictures of you going abroad to find talent. How have you built your roster with those foreign players as well as some of the local based players here in the United States?
It's a mix. Of course, the process starts, as early as the fall and spring seasons of the year before, where we have an opportunity to watch, a lot of the local college players. We do have a strong connection, of course, with the Netherlands, being part of the Dutch Lions franchise model. So, we had a trip to Europe in March where they pretty much organize tryouts, guys register, sign up, and it's kind of an invitational tryout. So we get invited, we go out, and while there, we have an opportunity not only to watch them, but to talk to them and to see them in real game environments. And then the third thing we do, besides the recruiting and the international tryouts, is we held our own invitational tryouts early February. So yeah, it's really a mix between a lot of scouting, a lot of recruiting. There's a lot of emails and players that reach out, and agents and coaches. So it's a process. It's a process to get the best possible group together, and we believe that the combination between the top athletes in Division I, Division II, NAIA programs, in combination with some of the mostly Dutch players, and the only reason we like that is because we want to implement an extremely specific style of play. So we believe that those players bring a little bit more experience in that style than the local players. It's really trying to find the culmination between, like I said, quality players are in the country, and unfortunately enough, we have the possibility to bring in some guys from Europe as well.
Well, I believe one of your players spent some time in Logsmans in the Eredivisie over there.
Yeah, we actually have two. We have a goalkeeper, Zeus. He played the PSV Youth Academy and has a couple of international caps for the Dutch youth teams. And then we have Boris Racevic played for PEC Zwolle Eredivisie. And the year that they won the cup, he was an incoming, what they call an A junior, so an incoming 18-year-old. And he signed a contract. Unfortunately, things there didn't work out, so now he's looking for an opportunity. But yeah, that's the caliber player we're looking at, guys that have at least played at the highest possible level in the youth, and that just missed something to be able to make the step to the pro ranks.
Hey, Sid, Boston here. I think I'm your newest season ticket holder member because I just signed up. But wanted to know, there are a lot of soccer fans here in Cincinnati, especially some new ones with the success that the USL team has had. How can you guys tap into that success and bring fans out to even more games?
We realize that Cincinnati is a city that supports winning teams. So from day one, the focus has been let's make sure we put an extremely high quality product on the field, and then the support will come easier. Besides that, the fact that we play in a venue that's a soccer specific stadium, the fact that we can serve. Beer is served in the stadium, and then we're hoping to create an entertaining experience for the fans. We're doing some events also in partnership with our brand new sponsor, Mercedes-Benz from Fort Mitchell. And then the last thing is we're creating a lot of relationships with the local youth clubs. We've been out and about and on a weekly basis done clinics with several youth clubs in the area. Just again in the hopes that we'll get some following. I know, and we appreciate you guys' support, and we're hoping this is a way also to tap into maybe a soccer market and fans that are not as familiar with us. So yeah, we're really out and about and try to do a lot of things with local events like the Flying Pig Marathon coming up. We'll be involved in that, helping out and working it out. So there's a big commitment from the ownership and us as staff and player group to be, involved in the local community as much as possible, and partnering up with important brands in the Cincinnati market.
We're hanging out with the head coach and technical director of the Cincinnati Dutch Lions, Sid van Druenen, joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. And Coach, obviously for soccer fans who are familiar with the Dutch Lions brand, I mean, we've heard of the Dayton Dutch Lions in years past. We know the Cincinnati Dutch Lions have been a club in recent years here in Cincinnati. Can you kind of explain the whole Dutch Lions naming and how the Dutch really are involved in that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it all started years ago with the CEO of the Dutch Lions. His name is Mike Mossel. He graduated and played for Xavier University. Played back with the Riverhawks back in the day, and his thought was pretty much like, hey, what he always says is there's millions of players, millions of youth players playing soccer in the United States, and if you look at how many top level players are there really in the world that have the American nationality? The answer to that is unfortunately not many yet. So he was like, hey, let's try to bring this Dutch philosophy, the Dutch development model to the United States, and that's really how it all started in Dayton. So Dayton was the first franchise. They started in the PDL, did a couple of years in the USL Pro. I think things unfortunately didn't really go the way the ownership was hoping. And then right now they're back in the PDL. Besides that, Cincinnati Dutch Lions was started originally with the goal to develop players. So Dayton being USL Pro, Cincinnati Dutch Lions playing in the PDL. So the goal was, amateur players play PDL with the hope of getting them, professional contracts, getting them ready for the professional level in Dayton. And besides the Dayton and Cincinnati franchise, there's also franchises in New York, Florida, and Houston right now. And then the Dutch Lions also owns 5% in the FC Cincinnati franchise. So that's kind of a little bit the short version of things.
Perfect. So Sid, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is your first year with the club. Last year, coach was Terry Nickel, and it seemed like he had a pretty successful season. So I see this year, he's listed as the associate head coach. I'm kind of curious, what does that mean? How does that work? And then also maybe what's your charter? What were you brought in to do to take the club to the next level?
The conversations with the ownership group started, at the end of last year, and I think it has a little bit to do with availability, a little bit to do with, hunger to succeed and to develop. I'm not saying Terry does not have that, but I think he's reached an age where he's more, he wants to be more in a mentoring role and help where he can. That's really how that came about. It's really, the goal of the Cincinnati Dutch Lions is to develop players, to see where this can go, to grow, to grow the club to, who knows, possible professional ranks, or at this point it's too early to say. But there was a vacancy, and they were looking for really the first full-time employee of the club. I got the opportunity, and while working with Terry, we built the roster together, and when we worked together extremely closely. The head coach, associate head coach is on paper only. The way we run our sessions and decisions we make, they're really hand in hand. I think the only real reason that I make the final decision, if that's how you want to call it, is more because of that. Because Terry is like, Sid, if this is something you want to do moving forward, we'll support you in that. So that's a little bit how that happened. But it's an on paper thing. You
have a great track record. Mm-hmm. Well, you have a great track record as a head coach in USL, and it's great to have that talent here as a coaching talent in the community. So we're glad to have you around here. But the one thing that you said a minute ago was that the Dutch Lions do own an ownership stake in FC Cincinnati. Can you give us a little bit more background on the relationship between your two clubs, and of course the matches that you will play, one at UC and then another versus FC Cincinnati Reserves at NKU?
Yeah, the way this was all brought about, we want to work hand in hand, with FC Cincinnati. We don't see ourselves at all as a competitive team. Our hope is down the road to be able to develop players that play for FC Cincinnati. There's been some positive conversations about how we're going to do that. Of course, it's not something that's just going to abruptly happen. It needs some time. But I think the fact that that we're playing them on July 16th in a home game, they've partnered up with us, or we've partnered up with them to play a game at Gettler Stadium on June 17th. So they play against Charleston at 7 o'clock. We have the opportunity to play at UC, so the stadium, the soccer field next to the stadium, at 4 o'clock, in the hopes, to promote the brand a little bit and to attract some FC Cincinnati fans. So FC Cincinnati has been great to us, and of course our hope is to build that relationship. So the connection was there through partial ownership that Dutch Lions has, but we still have to do the work to really prove to FC Cincinnati as well that we're a worthwhile partner to partner up with. So the door was opened by the fact that there was a partial ownership, but it's up to us really how far we can open that door.
Hey, Sid, we ask every guest on our show this question, and we wanted to know, have you been to Skyline? What do you think about Skyline? And do you have anything that you really enjoy there?
I knew that question was coming. I listen to you guys' show regularly. I have. Actually, our director of operations and one of my assistants, Brandon Ponchek, is extremely fond of Skyline Chili. I think he would eat there on a daily basis if he could.
Good man.
So yeah, I've gone. I figured you guys would like that. No, I've gone a couple of times. I try not to go too often, but I like just a simple 3-way, and then I order a side of fries with it, and kind of dump the 3-way on the fries, and then that's how I like the Skyline experience. But it's good. It's good food, definitely.
You're a good man, Sid. I like that answer. I really do. I know you're a busy man, so we'll let you get out of here on this question. Where can folks learn more about your club, and where can they find tickets?
Tickets are available on our website. It's very simple. So that's cdlfc.com. And then there's a buy ticket section. We have individual tickets available for $8 for adults and $6 for students. For us, students go all the way to 21, so we're counting college students and stuff in there too. And then six-year-olds and younger get in at no cost. We have some season ticket options available at $35 and $25, and then we also have a family pack that's I believe a great value. It's $89. It gives you access to all of our home games with whoever buys the ticket plus 5 family members. So six people have access to all of our home games for $89. Besides that, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're pretty active on all those things and trying, to upload videos and pictures and all that stuff. So yeah, give us a follow. Come out to a game. If you do, don't be a stranger. I think another big advantage is our players and staff are a lot more approachable, than probably at the professional ranks. So yeah, anybody that's interested, the same, if listeners are listening that, are involved with the club or a youth team, reach out and we'll be more than happy to come out and run a session or help the coaching staff, running a session. So yeah, we're hoping to be able to fill NKU with a good crowd at our home opener on May 21st.
Well, we're looking forward to it as well, and we're definitely going to have you back on the show during the middle of your season to kind of catch up and get your thoughts on the season as a whole. And we appreciate you spending some time with us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk, Sid.
No problem. Thanks for having me, and yeah, keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks for listening, Sid. That was very kind of you.
No problem.
All right. Take care, Sid.
All right, man. Thanks, guys.
That's Sid Van. If I'm butchering your name, Sid, I apologize. Sid van Druenen joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Good to get his thoughts here on the King's Hammer Hotline. Now, of course, the King's Hammer Hotline now open, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. We'd love to get your thoughts. This is the time where you should call in to give us your thoughts on the red card situation, the red card epidemic surrounding FC Cincinnati right now. 4-6. We want to get your thoughts. 513-399-KICK. Oh, what do you know? The phone lines are literally blowing up. Joseph, you got your work cut out for you now, buddy.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck, Joseph. All right, so Let's talk about the red card situation, shall we? Andy Craven actually went out on social media this week to apologize for his actions. We went all. I don't really want to make this a recurring theme each and every week, but it sounds like it's going to be. So, what the heck, guys?
Somebody was out for blood when he made that challenge, and it wasn't even the guy that he was pushing and shoving with. So I just a bowling over point. I mean, I feel like every human being out there has had that moment. His just was in front of thousands of people watching him on TV.
Yeah, I think we're. If I was a coach playing against FC Cincinnati, I'm telling my players, hey guys, go out there, poke them around, shove them a little bit, see if we can get tempers flared up.
Absolutely.
We're gaining a reputation, not just with opposing teams, but also with officials. I think you're going to see officials ready to whip that red out a little faster, knowing that we are the bullies of the USL, and that's something you don't want. I don't think it's true. I think we've been a bit unfortunate. But officials will have that in their brain now, so they're going to have to be even extra careful.
Well, I mean, shoot, it's difficult. I mean, it's bad publicity out there too when you have Paul Doherty, who for I think a good week was giving us great publicity. Then we have these red cards, and now it's a negative take in the media. So that's something we have to deal with here. And people even were asking Lance McAllister on their radio show this week about it. And it's something that I don't feel like it's as big of a deal as some people might. Yeah, this one probably didn't hurt us as much in the run of play. We didn't lose. But when you have those moments like Kadeem did, when there's 25 minutes of time left, when you have Paul Nicholson's, which was, I think that was more of a professional foul versus just losing his cool. We got to manage the game better, and part of that rests on the coaching staff.
Shout out to Sam Costell, who is listening to us in his class. So he can't call in because he's obviously probably would get in trouble for that. But he said that some of those reds shouldn't have been straight reds in his opinion. He said he only sees one true straight red, which was
my guess is Akers, right?
Yeah. And he said, I don't think the bad boy label applies. And he wants your thoughts. So we'll throw that to you, Bill.
Yeah, I think we can justify each one and come up with reasons for why they aren't so bad and say that therefore we don't get this bad boy label. But the reality is you step away from it long enough and everybody starts to forget the details except for us. And what they're looking at is that we've got 4 reds in 6 games.
All right, let's go to the phones to get your thoughts on this situation. Let's start off with Olivia. She joins us now on the King's Hammer Hotline. Olivia, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
Hello. So I called in last week to talk about the red cards.
Yeah.
And didn't want to call in this week to talk about it again, but here we are. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it here. I will support this team no matter what, but I'm a little disappointed in how the season's going so far. Last season, we didn't have a single red card, and here we are 7 games in, and we've got 4. And this one just, seemed a little more justifiable than the others. You don't just elbow someone. Andy Craven, I like you, but don't do that, man. What are we doing? So I just wanted to get your thoughts on, what the heck is going on and, why this keeps happening, because it's a little shocking.
We got some interesting feedback on social media from, is it Ram? Is this how you say it? Ramen Call? I guess it's how you say it,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
He thinks the red cards might have something to do with the coaching change. I don't buy that, but it is, if you think about it, 3 of the 4 red cards are from new players this year. And maybe they're trying to just make their mark on this team and literally making their mark. Maybe they're just trying to do a little too much to impress the coaches, impress the fans. I don't know. I still thought the Gibby red card wasn't a red card. I thought it was a harsh red. And then to find out all the extracurriculars after that, I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
Well, to me, it's kind of funny because last year, we had the one that was called back, the Mitch card. You think about this team compared to the coach. Last year, you have a flamboyant, loud coach who's on the sidelines yelling at refs, high-fiving people, going nuts. And they play kind of reserved, I guess, on the foul side. And then this year, you have a coach that's stoic on the sidelines, and we got 4 reds. So I don't know if there's a general I don't think it's the team adopting the mentality of the coach. I just think that it's kind of what we said last week. Guys are just playing hard, and they want to press, and they want to win, and they care. I mean, you see Jimmy, you see Andrew Wiedemann, you see Craven come out and apologizing. I mean, they care, and they're trying to do their best. It's not like what we saw, what you see with NFL teams where it's like week 8 and they've had 1 loss or 1 win and they don't care about it anymore. I don't think it's that. I think they're just trying really too hard and pressing.
Yeah, I was hanging out at Bucketheads before for the second half, and when I saw Craven and the player pushing each other, shoving each other, I called it. I mean, I was just like, this. If he does anything stupid, it's going to be an instant red, because the official could see them battling back and forth. I mean, they were just swiping each other's arms, and he was hot. So in that circumstance, the players need to calm down, realize that they're on the spot, and they're going to get any kind of a red now with the reputation. Those officials are just looking for it.
Yeah, but I thought he was going to get the red card with the guy he was fighting with, and then he turns around and he basically pushes a guy completely different off that play completely. So, I don't know what they were doing to get in his head, but we got to get it under control there. So.
Yeah, hopefully they do get it under control. Olivia, we appreciate the call, and thanks for calling in again, all right?
Absolutely.
That's Olivia giving us a ring here on the King's Hammer Hotline. Let's go now to Ethan from the Bailey Bastards. Ethan, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
Thank you.
What's on your mind, buddy?
How long do you think Craven's going to be out for?
Well, he'll miss the next match for sure. I don't anticipate it being much more significant than that. Would you guys? You're probably all in agreement with that. They're all shaking their head. Okay, all right. Yeah, so I don't think he'll be out like GB, but he's going to miss the next game for sure.
Yeah. How long do you think Omar's going to play for Craven?
You think it'll be Omar, Ethan? I don't know if it'll be Omar.
Yeah.
What makes you think it'll be Omar?
It's Omar coming.
Yeah. You think it'll be him and not somebody else like Wiedemann or even Daryl Fordyce who could play forward a little bit?
Ethan's figured out we're running out of forwards.
But Ethan's a big Wiedemann fan. I mean, I was gonna say, Ethan, I know you like Wiedemann. You got your Wiedebridge shirt.
Yes.
So he's obviously a good guy up there, but he didn't quite get it for us last game. So yeah, I think I'm kind of with you. I'm thinking that Coach Koch is going to want to roll out somebody different. Try Omar Cummings.
Yeah. I have predictions for the game Saturday.
All right, bring it.
Which is Andrew Wiedemann is going to score 2 goals, and Delbridge is going to score 1, and the game is going to go 3-0.
Woo! I like your optimism, Ethan. Appreciate the call, buddy. Don't be a stranger, all right? Get to bed. Isn't it past your bedtime?
All right. No.
He's like, it's 8:45
I'm
now.
kidding with you, Ethan. I'm kidding.
What kind of a dad are you, man?
Oh, my kids don't go to bed till 9:30, so I know. Ethan, we appreciate the call, buddy.
All right, see ya.
That's Ethan from the Bailey Bastards giving us a ring. I had a chance to talk to Ethan a few weeks ago on the fan cams on YouTube. He did a great job. Did a great job tonight as well. Let's go now to Steven joining us on the King's Hammer Hotline. Steven, what's happening, buddy? Let's try this again. I hit the talk button and nothing happened. Now we should have Steven. Steven, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
I was waiting for the beep and I didn't get it. There we are. I guess what I wanted to get to talk about is kind of something that was brought on Lance McAllister's blog today. It was just a little bit about the whether or not FC Cincinnati is getting a pass, which I think is kind of a ridiculous statement for how they've played so far this season. But I think I think we need to manage expectations a little bit. As much as the club wants to say we're pushing for a championship, we are pushing for MLS and all these things, go back and look at how we actually did last season. We had 27 games out of 33 total that were 1-goal games or a tie. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, we're talking about really thin margins in this league. And if you don't finish like we did this past weekend, you're not going to win. You have the possibility of, losing to really an inferior team. They had one good opportunity. They finished. We had about 20 and could not. So it's unfortunate, yes, but I think those of us who are a little more seasoned and may have watched the Premier League every weekend or watch different leagues every weekend maybe need to talk down some of these people that may be new fans off the ledge when they see these kind of results, because I don't think it's certainly not a time to panic, and I think people just need to calm down a little bit as far as what they're expecting out of this club so far.
So what should we be expecting?
I don't mean to say that we shouldn't be, we shouldn't want to win every single game we go out on. But I think in the bigger games, which was our trouble spot last season, we actually did step up at home against those bigger clubs. The 2 of the 3 losses, I think you can really, they're unfortunate. The 2 losses to Bethlehem Steel, you lose a player in Hoyt in the first couple minutes, and then you get a red card. You're not going to win that game. And the second time against them, it's unlucky. It was really an unlucky situation in a game where we honestly produced more opportunities than we produced in any single game this season. So those results happen. If, in this next stretch of 5 games against some very beatable opponents, we don't see any changes, then I think we can start being a little bit more critical about the team. But at this point, I think it's a little bit overkill to say, to be jumping off, and saying this team is undisciplined, or to just be overreacting to the play that is going on right now.
Well, let me ask you this, Stephen. Do you think the reaction is a lot of it due to the red cards? I think that's adding to the situation a little bit, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's kind of the Cincinnati sports mentality where we overreact a little bit to these kind of things. With the Bengals having, even this weekend, kind of adding on to their bad boy mentality. There's some things about Cincinnati sports that just leave a bad taste in your mouth. And when you see something like what happened with GB, even if I don't personally think, there's evidence there, regardless, it just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. No pun intended. And so you can see where the casual fan is going to jump to conclusions and see, oh, this is the same old Cincinnati sports club. Hopefully the casual fan will realize that, we'll start to be a little bit more educated in, how sometimes these things just don't go your way. And I think that's really what I hope for, is that the casual fan that, may start to leave if, we don't start to win games, doesn't do that they stick around and realize that's part of being a soccer fan.
I can't argue with that, Stephen. You're bringing a little bit of a level-headed approach to it. I appreciate it. And don't be a stranger. I'd like your insight tonight, buddy.
Absolutely.
Thanks for giving us a ring.
I'll call in again for sure.
All right, good.
Thanks.
That's Stephen on the King's Hammer Hotline joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Let's go to our good pal, Yursky. He joins us now on the King's Hammer Hotline. Yursky, what's happening, buddy?
What's up, guys? How's your night going?
I'm feeling red. Haha, you like that? I'm wearing my red jersey. I'm wearing the. I'm sporting the red lights here in the Cincinnati Soccer Talk studio. Yeah, what's on your mind, man?
I'm digging the Man U jersey. Not gonna lie, digging the Man U jersey.
I wore it just for you.
And you know that I would. I know you did. So, and I appreciate that. What I wanted to talk about tonight is, you kind of hinted on it earlier, is Mitch's decision making. how much are we going to take him making? Because as a goalie, you almost don't, and especially with the way the team's playing right now, you almost can't make mental mistakes like he's making. He's a professional soccer player. He's misjudging balls, and it's happening every single game. How, if you are Coach Koch, how short of a leash do you let him have? And when do you pull the plug and say maybe it's time to let Jay play a game?
It's a good question, Yursky. I'm going to throw it over to my staff here. Brian.
Yeah,
I think
man. That's a good one, Alex. So I think you give Mitch the benefit of the doubt until it becomes where it's a 90 minutes thing. I think that his decision making hasn't been perfect, but this guy's also saved a couple PKs. He traditionally does fairly well in keeping the defensive line in shape. So I just think that he has that added experience that I assume a Dallas J, who would be the logical backup, might not necessarily have yet. But we'll see. As I said, if it's a 90-minute thing, I think that's going to be something that needs to be addressed.
I think it's interesting.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
I think it's interesting. We've talked a lot about, how much competition there is on this roster this year, and how maybe some of the red cards we're seeing are just how anxious players are to prove themselves, how hard they're trying. At some level, there isn't, we have 3 goalkeepers, but at some level, there isn't as much competition at the goalkeeper level. Everybody kind of assumes Mitch is going to be the starter each game. I'm almost kind of wondering if Coach Koch might want to shake that up a little bit, just to kind of remind Mitch that he's also trying out each week.
Yeah, but we need to make sure that we're at least keeping a core together here. There's a lot of unfamiliarity. I feel if you add a younger keeper, then mix that in with a Hoyt, we're just asking for trouble then.
Yeah, but isn't it? I think it's the same. I agree with Bill. You got to send a message that, your spot's not safe if you're not playing well. Just because you're the goalkeeper of the year, you can't just assume he's going to be the starter.
That's a practice statement. I don't think you go out on a whim. Say if you're Mitch practicing as the I guess quote unquote first team keeper all week, yank him out and throw Dallas in there. I'm not sure that's how it works.
Yeah, you guys. I think you guys are overstating how good Dallas J is. And Mitch is clearly the better keeper.
But how do we know that?
We saw it in preseason.
He hasn't gotten given the chance yet. He hasn't gotten the chance yet. The only games that he has played as of yet, he has won. Dallas J has. So we can't say for certain that Dallas J, or even Dan Williams for that matter, and I'm kind of throwing his name because he's a friend of mine, is better because he. But he hasn't gotten that game experience. So how are we to say for certain that he isn't better, that he won't make those mistakes, mental mistakes, that in 2 years, Dallas J or Dan Williams could be our starting keeper and he would be a better replacement? Who's to say that couldn't happen?
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that we need to look for a full-time replacement, but what is one game, right? To kind of send a message to say, hey, look, your spot isn't guaranteed. And this actually, if you think about it, Bri, this is the weekend to do that because Richmond doesn't score goals.
On the road?
Yeah,
Richmond
Richmond doesn't score goals.
Hostile fans?
Richmond hostile.
That's
it's Richmond.
Ridiculous.
Richmond doesn't score goals, dude.
Both of their fans will be very hostile, though.
They had 8,200 fans there a couple weeks ago. I don't want to throw a young guy into that fire. Yeah. I don't know.
No, they are doing pretty well.
I'll tell you what. If Mitch lets a Richmond goal go in, then we can revisit the topic since they've only got 3 goals on the year.
But this would be the game to put Dallas in there.
If it was at home, I don't know.
Why does it?
I still like Mitch.
I agree with you, Hunter. I love Mitch too. I like what he brings to the game. I love what he brings, the end of the game chant. I love that he embraced the team and his role with this club. But come on, these are simple. It's not the first time we've seen these things. It happened last year in the playoff game against Charleston. Maybe this is something that coach has to address.
I love it. Yosef just put a message in here saying Nick jinxed us. If they give up 4 goals this week, maybe.
Yeah, the Nick has to paint up.
Yes.
Yeah, but okay. There's
Hey,
one
tell
thing
you what,
giving up.
if they score 4 goals, I will paint up next week. I'll tell you that. So
I like it, Yersky. Appreciate the call, buddy.
yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
You too. I'm not saying that you need to replace, but this would be the game to do it. And if they drop 4 goals on him, there are 4 players in front of him that could ultimately lead to that issue. What do you guys, as far as that goal against Bethlehem goes on the weekend, how much do you fault the back 4 and how much do you fault Mitch on that play?
I fault the center backs for not jumping at all. I mean, Hugh Roberts was in between 3 guys and completely jumped them all.
Okay, what about Mitch's positioning though? Should he have gone for that ball? A little, he was very indecisive. And like, how many times have we seen an opponent take a corner kick? How many? I mean, you have to agree. We all kind of get a little nervous at that set play.
Mm-hmm. We've seen it before. Yes.
I like it.
I don't know.
I didn't mean to
Dallas
cause any crap, guys. I just threw that out there.
No, but
Dallas J on a set play would still make me incredibly nervous.
But we don't know,
incredible.
Boston. That's the thing. We haven't seen Dallas J play in a USL game, except for
So we have to
80
give
minutes
Jamie-
against Red Bulls last year, at which he didn't give up a goal.
Yeah, we have to give Jamie Starr some benefit of the doubt, though, right? I mean, Jamie Starr's the goalkeeper coach, and at this point, he has decided that Mitch is our guy. So, I just threw it out there as just kind of an idea of, hey, we see a lot of competition out there, but we don't really see it there. So, if it continues, I think that's an opportunity. But
We need 3 points. We don't need to experiment. That's all I'm saying.
well, we might have to experiment to get 3 points, but.
We're already experimenting with the lineup we've got right now due to the other circumstances surrounding this team. So maybe this is the time to shake things up to get, kick this team into gear. So we'll see. Love to get your thoughts, though, on the goalkeeper situation, the red card situation, everything involved with this team. Make sure you send us your emails, feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. As we mentioned, they're going to hit the road. They're taking on a Richmond team that has not scored a lot of goals this year. Really struggling offensively, but they're a very tough team at home. Bri, you're going to have March to Match Day coming up a little bit later on this week. Give us a little mini scouting report before the podcast comes out.
Well, I think they're hurting the most because their playmaker, Udai Amira, hasn't been completely healthy this year. He's only played in 1 match. I think he messed up his hamstring, and we'll hear a lot more from the guys over at RVA is Red this week. But I think that's where it kind of comes into play. They're not getting those chances created where I mean they're not getting the ability to get into that attacking third against opponents. So. Yeah, it's kind of what you said. I think they've only had 3 goals on the year, and but they don't allow too many. Look for former FC Cincinnati player Evan Lee to maybe get a start. I think he started and played a full 90 this past week versus Tampa Bay. So excited to see what he can bring, and hopefully we know how to unlock him.
Yeah, Richmond on the year, they are 2-4, I should say, with a goal differential of -2 on the year. But we'll see what happens. Can FC Cincinnati turn things around and get a win on the road against the Kickers? I guess we'll find out this weekend. I thought it was a really good show tonight. Spirited debate. First time we've kind of really gone at it here on this podcast. I dig that. So love your feedback, though. Again, feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you can get the March to Match Day, which will be coming out a little bit later on this week. Who's going to be joining you, Bri?
The gentleman over at RVA is Red. We're going to have a good background on Richmond from their perspective. So I'm excited to hear that.
Looking forward to that. Of course, again, subscribe. Find us on iTunes. Anywhere podcasts are found, you'll be able to get March to Match Day in your mobile device. Final thoughts as we start to wrap up, guys. I guess we should do our Growler Cup. Can't forget about that. Growler Cup predictions. Maybe I'm forgetting about Growler Cup because I know I'm doing horrible in this year's competition. I'm the Brian Weigel of this year's. I'm kidding.
Hey, now.
I'm kidding, Brian.
Second place, baby.
Maybe because I'm in last place, I'll go first. Is that you guys? You think that's fair? You cool with that?
Yeah, you get the first stab at it.
Let's see. I'm gonna go 1-0 to FC Cincinnati. Don't know who the goal is gonna come from. But I think we are due for a Widmer's clean sheet. So let's hope that we get that this week. Who wants to go next?
I went first last time.
I'll go because I'm gonna feed off of you, Subes.
All right.
I have a little more faith than you do, but I think we're gonna go 2-0.
So you agree
we just
on the
had
clean
too many
sheet?
shots in that last game. I do agree on the Widmer's clean sheet. But we had too many shots. I think the posts will not be a factor this week, and we're going to get at least 2.
I like your idea, too, about the technology and no goalposts.
The guys on Facebook tore me up for that. They said they were going to make a shirt to make fun of me on that comment.
I think they should put it on a cup.
All right, Bill, your Growler Cup prediction?
I'm going to go with you, Nick. I'm going to go 1-0, just because if you look over basically the history right now for Richmond, they seem to have a pretty stout defense. They have never given up more than 1 goal in all the games so far this season. So I think we are going to win. I'm also not doing great in the Growler Cup, probably because I'm too positive, but I'm going to remain positive because I do believe in this team. And I think we're going to win it. We're going to get a clean sheet, a Widmer's clean sheet, and we are going to get to that 1 goal and continue the Richmond trend of them losing by 1-0 score lines.
All right. Last but not least, we'll go over to you, Brian Weigel.
Well, belief and my prediction for this game are not necessarily hand in hand. Key stat here, through 6 matches, they've only averaged 2 shots on goal per match. So 12 total shots on goal this entire year, where we have had 33 shots on target this year. So there's definitely a substantial difference there. But with that being said, I think it's going to be a disappointing 1-1 draw down in Richmond. Until these guys show me that they can do it consistently, I'm not sure they can go get 3 points on the road just yet.
All right. Make sure you send all your hate mail to feedback at Cincinnati Soccer. I'm just kidding, Brian. Feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Of course, if you want to get in on the Growler Cup competition, what are you waiting for? It's not too late to join. And, of course, if you join this year, you'll automatically be involved in next year's competition as well. You can go support the show, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. That's how you get involved with the Growler Cup competition. All right, episode 63 is almost in the books. Let's start off with our final thoughts. I'll start with you, Brian Weigel.
Well, you guys heard him tonight. We do have several quality clubs in the area that doesn't even include Cincinnati Sirens, Cincinnati Swerve. Go out and support these guys and help grow the game in the area, just like you do with FC Cincinnati. If you have the chance to go out to the game in Northern Kentucky, go check it out. I mean, it's what, Boston, like $35 or $38 for a season ticket?
Yeah, super cheap, and the games don't coincide with FC Cincinnati games.
I think that's 7 or 8. I think 7 regular season games. I think they might have 1 or 2 more friendlies. Of course, the FC Cincinnati friendly too. So go check out these guys, support the club, and who knows? Depending on the result this weekend, myself or Griffin might have to paint up a particular area, hair, whatever, beard on their person. So check it out next week at the game.
Man, you sure like putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So that wasn't even my mouth. That was on like Slack. So we'll see. So we have a little message here. It won't be a full body paint up, but we'll see. I don't think it's looking too good for either of these because there's some pretty significant measures that have to hit for this to happen. But yeah, who knows? We'll see.
Good stuff, Bri. As always, appreciate all that you do for us here at CST.
Thank you, sir. And you're looking good in red, except for that jersey.
Oh, thank you, Bri. Appreciate that. Final thoughts from Boston, Brazil.
I just want to remind everybody out there, we have a lot of awesome supporter groups. I got lucky enough to spend some time, had some extra time on this last home game, and I visited all four main supporter groups, I guess I would say, the three on Short Vine, the Pride, the Bailey Bastards, and the Mafia, and then also got over to Mecklenburg to hang out with Deanna and Stad. Check these guys out. They go out of their way to throw awesome parties. I know the Bailey Bastards have a derby party at Bucketheads, and the traditional bars at Rhinehouse and Ladder 19 will be running. If you haven't joined a group or you haven't just hung out with a group, do it. It's amazing. And the marches this year are phenomenal.
I agree 100%, Boston. I got the fortunate chance to do it I guess 2 weekends ago for the Louisville game. I agree that the march has just grown exponentially. It's really cool to see, and it's fun hanging out at these supporters groups bars ahead of the match. So I agree with you 100%. Get down there and be involved and get involved in the soccer community. Good stuff, Boston. Last but not least, the one and only Bill Wolf. What's on your mind, Bill?
I don't want to bring everybody down, but I just want to kind of put thoughts out to St. Louis, out to the Midwest a little bit. If you guys have been watching social media, their stadium is literally underwater, like not visible anymore. Just the rains that have gone through the Midwest have just terrorized that area. They're the enemy when they're on the pitch with us, but they're our brothers in the USL, and I feel for them.
Yeah, rain, a big deal in the Midwest the last few weeks. I know it affected you this weekend, just like it affected me, Bill. I was at a soccer tournament in Columbus, and we had the entire Saturday rained out. I was actually sitting in a car during a lightning storm and just watched it just come down in droves. I know you were affected as well this weekend.
Yeah, I was helping out at the Blue Chip Showcase this weekend, and it was just crazy waiting for that storm to let up. And I know the fields there are still wet. That they're talking about they're unplayable tomorrow. So that's 4 days out, and they're still saturated with water. It was crazy the amount of water that came down.
Well, it's good to have you back, and yeah, good stuff tonight, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
My final thoughts again, make sure you go out and support Cincinnati Soccer Talk, cincinnati-soccertalk.com/support. Rate and review the show on iTunes, cincinnati-soccertalk.com/iTunes. We'd love to hear your thoughts on our podcast. What are we doing great? What are we doing that could be done better? You can also email us feedback at cincinnati-soccertalk.com. That is going to do it for episode 63. Again, my thanks to Boston Brazil, Bill Wolf, and Brian Weigel. I'm Subs, reminding you to watch your tackles. We will catch up with you next week.